I'm about to blow your freaking mind talking about all things automation, outsourcing, delegation. I want to help you create that work-life balance. There's a lot of gurus that are like, there's no such thing as balance. Look, you can call it whatever you want, but I want to have time with my kids, time with my wife. I want to get rich. I want to have fun. I want all the things. I want to be healthy, wealthy, right? How many of us want an and life? You don't want an or life. I'm either going to be an awesome parent or I'm going to get rich. I'm either going to be a really great family man or a really great mom, or I'm going to build a profitable business. No, we want an and life. We actually want a comma life. We want to get healthy, wealthy. We want to have our faith, our friends, right? We want to have our financial fitness, right? We want all the things. Hop into the comments and let me know if you want all the things. See, you can have it all, but you can't do it all by yourself. I would highly recommend you visit our resources page if you want our free outsourcing guide. We just completely revamped and updated this entire resource. It's the art of balancing life and business to give you harmony in your life. So you feel good when you go to bed at night, right? You're not stressed out. You're not, how many of us we're not present? Like we feel like when we're working out, we're not spending time in our business, or when we're spending time in our business, we're not spending time with our kids. And when we're spending time with our kids, we're thinking about our business. Like, you want to be present. And listen, it's still hard for me. I have not perfected this. There are still times where I'm with my kids and I'm on my phone and my daughter has to say, Dad, put your phone down. Like, pay attention to me. Or there's times where, quite honestly, I might not be motivated to work my business that day, right? But it's the law of inertia. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. So it's not being motivated then working out. I can't tell you how many times, I actually should have used the example for working out, because it's very rare that I don't feel like working my business. I'm obsessed. I'm #obsessed. I have just a little teeny bit of passion. But for me, it was working out. For years and years, I'd say, I hate working out. But the truth is, and I still don't I'm not like, oh my gosh, I love picking up weights and putting them back down, but I do love the results. So this is why discipline is so important. And this is why also I would recommend all of you do a brain dump. What are those needle moving activities, those money making activities in your business that you need to do those things every day? You need to do those things. And if you can't do it, or maybe you have a fear of doing it, or you just really dislike doing it, like you really, really don't like it, then maybe you hire people, which we can talk about. You hire someone to help you with those energy sucking activities, right? Sometimes there's things in your life you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Outsource, hire help, do something about it. Because a lot of you are stuck because you're stuck doing things you don't love doing. You're stuck maybe working a job, or, the chores around the house, the things that must be done. So at some point you got to do a brain dump, write down all your stressors, all the time consuming things, what you do every day. Because if you're trying to build an empire and you're trying to create this freedom, this abundance, this prosperity, you want to build wealth. This is just such an important conversation, because outsourcing can be a game changer for entrepreneurs, but you also have to be careful, because there are things you cannot automate. Automation can be dangerous. I'll give you an example. I know there's some people within our own team, within our own organization, that abuse automation. They have a project broadcast with hundreds of customers, and they just send out mass text messages. And, I'm not saying that won't work, but you're definitely not going to have the best relationships with your customers, and you're not going to have the best conversions. You're not going to have the best retention if all they do is get mass text messages from you. How about you have a team chat? And in your team chat, you just constantly post in the team chat. And listen, I do this, but I also reach out to people individually. Maybe you set a goal every day to reach out to 5 people on your team that you haven't spoke to in a while. If you have a big team, you can appreciate that. You might say, well, I don't even have time for that right now. Well, again, you need to outsource. Maybe your VA helps you. Maybe you hire a virtual assistant and they help you comb through your customers, the ones that haven't ordered in 6 months, to reach out to them. Maybe your VA helps you with reaching out to some of the distributors, social marketers, ambassadors, whatever you call them in your company, to reach out to them and touch base with 5 people a day, 10 people a day, to see how you can help them, to see if they want to relaunch their business, if they want to get the ball rolling again. Does that make some sense? There are tools and systems out there that you can leverage, but just be very careful not to automate the relationship building, the mentorship. In fact, let me get into a mindset conversation with you real quick. These are 5 major keys that I think are so important. Number one, you got to work with what you got. Some of you will say, well, I'm not real talented, or I'm not real organized, or I don't have experience. Stop it. Stop with that nonsense. It's nonsense. Everybody gets started at zero. Everybody gets started. Look, everybody's got a different journey. Everybody's in a different chapter in their life and in their business. If you compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10, you're going to get very discouraged because, like, let's say someone's been working out for 10 years and you just started. How can you expect to be in the same shape as them or be as strong as them? Same thing with playing a sport. If you start playing a sport and you get discouraged because someone's way better than you, but they've been playing for 5 years, or maybe they just have God-given talents and abilities. Same thing in business, same thing in anything, right? Would you agree? Same thing with anything. We can talk about this for any scenario, any situation. So you just got to work with what you got. You got to work with the hand you're dealt, like it's the one you prayed for. Like, okay, great. You have this, distraction or this frustration or, this, unfortunate thing in your life, but you can't play the victim card. Victimhood does not lead to profits and abundance in your life. So drop the victimhood, drop the, well, I don't have this and I don't have experience and I'm from a small town and I didn't have a great upbringing. Great. What are you going to do about it? Feeling sorry for yourself ain't going to pay your bills. It's not going to help you grow a business. So that's the first thing. Work with what you got. Number 2, you got to maintain positivity. It's so easy to be excited and positive when your business is crushing, when you're growing. But the key to success is when you can't control the first negative thought, but you can control that second thought. So you got to really try to train your brain to be more positive and look at every situation, everything with a positive perspective. It's hard to sometimes flip the switch to positivity, especially when you're going through some ish, but you can always find the positive in any situation or scenario. Number 3, don't give in to your emotions. Be very careful not to give in to your emotions. It's easy to react. It's harder to respond. Don't react to situations. Don't react when your kids do something that pisses you off or your spouse does something. Now listen, again, I'm not perfect. I still do this, but I try my best when something happens to go, okay, take a breath. Don't respond right away, right? Think about what you want to say. Think through this. Have some empathy. Think of it from their perspective, right? Another thing, number 4, don't spend time with people that get the worst out of you. Spend more time with people that get the best out of you. And the activities that give you energy and enthusiasm, do more of those things. If it's working out, if it's doing live videos, like I get fired up from live videos. That's why I do live videos, because I get fired up, people. Also do your best to stay neutral in tough situations. So let's say I've got 2 leaders that are fighting with each other, upline, downline, sideline. Maybe someone's competing over the same prospect. Maybe someone felt that they were disrespected. I always try to maintain neutrality. If I'm in that situation and I'm reacting and I hear one side of the story, I'm going to react versus, okay, wait, well, let me hear it from their side. Let me hear their version of the story, right? It's like when your kids come to you and they complain about the other kid, like, oh my gosh, guess what Dylan did? It's like, well, what did you do? The last thing, this is a bonus tip, take ownership and responsibility. It is your business. It's not your upline's business. It's not the company's business. It's your business. If you make a lot of money, your fault. If you don't make any money, your fault. Either way, it's your fault. Okay? So let's talk about this. Let's get into superhero syndrome. You can have it all, but you can't do it all. And some of you are losing a lot of money because you're in the weeds doing things that you could outsource. Let me give you an example. Back in the day, I was so terrified to do group chats or have someone else do group chats. Because I'm like, I got all these chats I'm in, all these prospects. Like, I don't want to mess this up and have someone else responding to my messages. So again, I had to do a brain dump. I had to sit down and say, okay, what are the repetitive tasks? What are the repetitive conversations? What are the repetitive things that I do? And really all of you should do this, even if you're very part-time, because you're going to notice how much time you waste in the scroll hole or talking to the same people that aren't buying or already joined and aren't doing anything. You can try to revive the dead, but it's better to give life than try to revive the dead, right? It's better to give birth than revive the dead. However, with that being said, I have sometimes revived the dead, so I don't want to totally tell you to not talk to people that are already in the business, not doing anything, because one day they might. You just don't want to spend a lot of time there. This is so important. I remember finally sitting down and saying, okay, what are the things I'm typically saying in these chats when I'm introduced? Let me put together like a little story, like a 3-paragraph story, who I am, where I'm from, kind of my background, and I drop that in the chats. right? And I kind of like tested it and tweaked it for a little bit. And I was like, okay, this is the message that I drop every time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my VA every single morning, all the chats that I miss. And I think they actually do it twice a day. In the morning and then like later in the evening, they'll go through and any of the chats that I missed, they'll drop my story. Or another thing I did, this is an advanced tip, but you can actually send an audio clip to yourself on Facebook Messenger and keep it there. So when you forward it, it doesn't look like a forwarded message. It looks like an original message. So they'll go through and drop that message. So they have a little custom message that they send like, hey, Sarah, it's great to meet you. Super excited you're taking a look at the opportunity. And we're just thrilled to be working with Joan. Joan's amazing. You know, and let me share my story, something like that. So they have this little message where they tag the person, the prospect, and they tag the person that set up the chat. And then they forward my audio clip. So it's me talking. They're just the one pressing the buttons. You need to get really strategic with what those income producing activities are. You definitely want to be careful with outsourcing because, like, I'll give you another example. When we have people commenting on my videos, like people are going to be leaving comments on these videos and some of them might ask questions or some of them, you know, might say kind things that like I don't see because I just have so many comments and messages. My assistants will go through and respond to comments, but they'll say, you know, hey, that's awesome. Way to go, Susie. Kyle, Team Melton. So it's not like they're acting like they're us in those situations. They are responding and saying that they're, you know, a part of Team Melton, but they're saying their name. So again, I'm just giving you some examples, all right? So if you're stuck, this could be why. You're either automating too much, but most of you are probably not automating enough. And again, another example would be you got these team chats and you just post the stuff in the team chats. That's lazy. That is lazy. I'm not saying it's not a good thing to do, but you also need to get in there and have those one-on-one conversations and support people. Same thing with your customers. If you're just sending mass text messages to people, they're probably not going to open that stuff or respond to that stuff as much as they will a one-on-one message. You have to keep it real and be honest with yourself and ask, how often do you respond to mass messages? Probably not often. So do that brain dump. I would also create SOPs, standard operating procedure, where you put SOPs in place for all the things you do. You know, I love using Brandon and Amanda Forbes for this because they did a brain dump for 5 hours. They sat down for 5 hours and wrote down everything they do throughout the week, all the things that are taking up a lot of time, especially a lot of household chores, right? Because, you know, they got kids and all the things and kids are in sports or school, like all the stuff, right? So they put together SOPs so that they know exactly who's doing the dishes, who's responsible to take out the dog, who's responsible for the trash per day. So instead of getting angry and saying, why didn't anybody take out the trash? Why didn't anybody do the dishes? Like in our house, as an example, a lot of times after dinner, Nadya will make dinner. She likes making dinner. If you hate cooking, outsource that. You need to figure out the things that suck your energy and the things that give you joy and, you know, things you enjoy doing, right? If it steals your joy, stop it. Stop it right now. Also, you can outsource this stuff. You can outsource like birthdays, follow-ups, repurposing content. How about leaderboards, giveaways, referral posts, managing your customer base, managing your back office. I mean, it's so cool. Like there's so much you can do. So this is, again, why a lot of you are stuck because you're caught in the minutia. You're like wasting so much time putting up a post or so much time like composing a message or, you know, updating graphics. Like you have got to master this. And thank God for our team. We do a lot of this for our team. Like we put together a lot of stuff for like end of the month promos and we work together with a lot of like the top people on our team to come up with like resources. And we got a lot of that stuff now dialed in with like SOPs and, you know, we have like certain dates and times. We do certain things throughout the month. Anyway, automation and outsourcing, delegation is a major key. And again, if you're a CEO, if you believe that your time is worth or will be worth $500 an hour, $1,000 per hour, then you got to be honest with yourself. How much are you doing that you could pay someone else $20, $100 an hour to do? I mean, think about that.